Good morning, everyone. I'm Junaid, Incubation Associate at Sharda Launchpad, and it's my pleasure to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all the participants of today's session of IgNIS 2.0. IgNIS is our flagship incubation program organized under the aegis of BST ITBI Sharda Launchpad. For those who attended the orientation, you'll recall that we had already an engaging one-on-one interactions and productive initial sessions. And for those joining us for the first time today, here's a quick recap about the last few sessions. IgNIS 2.0 is an immersive learning platform designed specially for early stage entrepreneurs like you, particularly those who are at the ideation phase. The program aims to help you validate and refine your startup ideas, cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset, building a strong foundation in business strategy. Throughout this journey, you will be guided by industry experts, seasoned mentors, and the Sharda Launchpad core team. A hands-on, practical approach culminating in a final pitch for funding opportunities at the end of the program. In our previous sessions, we covered ideation and problem identification, and we had a well-defined problem statements, followed by the introduction of AI tools for business. Then we gained insights about AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Copilot, and cloud-based solutions. We threw some light on market research as well, competitive analysis, and market segmentations. Today, we shift our focus to one of the most critical aspects of startup development, as solution market fit. The session will help us to understand how to ensure your solutions effectively address some real market needs, resonate with your target audience, and is positioned for growth and scalability. We're honored to be led by our esteemed Sharda Launchpad leadership, led by Dr. Amit Saigal, who is Director of Sharda Launchpad, a distinguished professor with more than 20 years of experience and more than a decade of experience in mentoring startups. We have with us Mr. Anurag Pandey, who is the CEO at DST ITBI Sharda Launchpad. He is a serial entrepreneur himself and is a strategic and a brand consultant, a visionary leader driving innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem at Sharda Launchpad. Mr. Pankaj Jain, the manager, Sharda Launchpad, a key ensuring the seamless execution of IgNIS 2.0. We're excited to welcome our esteemed guest speaker for the day, Mr. Anoop Srikantaswamy, founder and CEO of Moonrider. Moonrider is an innovative electric tractor technology company focused on developing heavy-duty electric tractors to reduce farming costs and enhance operational efficiency. Their mission is to empower sustainability farming and improve profitability for farmers and fleet operators. Mr. Anoop holds a degree in mechanical engineering and management studies and has served as director of R&D programs at Ola, senior principal at Accenture EV practical lead. Mr. Anoop's inspiring journey, combining deep industry expertise with entrepreneurial vision, makes him the perfect guide to lead us to the path to achieving solution market fit. We take a great pride to recognize Moonrider as a startup supported by Sharda Launchpad, a testament to the heights our ventures can reach out in a very short time. To make the most of today's session, we request all the participants stay actively engaged and keep the cameras open throughout the session. Take the notes and jot down the questions for the Q&A segment. Participate with curiosity and openness. To officially kick off this session, I will now invite our CEO, Mr. Anurag Pandey, to set the tune and share his thoughts on today's session. Over to you, Anurag.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Junaid, for the introduction. So today's session, as spoken by Junaid, will be very, very important, and especially having Anoop and the expertise in product side is huge. A brief background: Anoop was earlier in Volvo, right? So journey from there, and now the founder of one of the most innovative electric vehicle tractor, heavy duty tractors He's secured $2.2 million as a seed fund, and maybe further also. Anoop can give better figures. So he is very hardworking, and I have seen him almost presentable at every point. Quite promising founder, and he does connections so quickly. And I have heard all good reviews from all places. We have also given initial grants to Anoop for his innovative idea. We really like the concept and the concept behind it. So today, you guys are open to explore his expertise and understand how and what goes into product solution fit. So without much, I think even I wanted to hear and learn more from you, Anoop. So over to you, Junaid, once. And yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words. Now, please join me in giving a warm virtual round of applause as we welcome Mr. Anoop, who will lead today's insightful session. Anoop, sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Junaid. Give me a second. Let me just share my screen, and then we can. Um, Hope you all can see my screen.
Yeah, it is visible.
Awesome. So I would like to firstly thank Mr. Anurag for this opportunity to sort of, have this interaction with you. So it's always great to be back and connected with all the entrepreneurs who want to build for India and build from India. So that's a different sort of a energy always. And it's also a fact that while we are in the journey, we are also learning. So in the sense that the questions that you ask, the curiosity that you show, is also learning for us. So it's not that we have figured out everything. So along the way, there's a lot of things to achieve. At the same time, there are a lot of pitfalls. So probably some of the questions that you're going to ask would in some way help shape our journey as well. So yeah, thank you, Anurag, for this opportunity. And quickly a bit about, I would like to personally thank Dr. Amit as well. So for considering us for this seed fund, the grant that we got, I think that came in at a very crucial time where we were building our prototypes. So I think that unlocked a lot of opportunities for us, not only from the fund standpoint, but also the insights that Dr. Amit, shared during the conversation, also through his connects and so on. So I think that has been really, really helpful. So yeah, thanks again, Sharda, for considering us to be part of your portfolio. That's it. Quick intro about me. So let's make it a more conversation. So I haven't really. So the idea is that this problem solution fit or the product market fit, however you want to look at it. I've tried to bake it into our story, and probably the best I could do is that I'll walk you through our journey, and also along the way I've built multiple products. So if there is something that we can discuss and exchange some notes, so that's what we could do. So stop me anytime you want. So yeah, quickly about a quick intro of the team. So I'm Anoop Srikantaswamy, currently based out of Bangalore. Like Junaid was mentioning, I mean, I have 15 years of automotive experience. Started my career with Toyota in India. Was what we call Toyota Racing Development Designer. Lived in Japan as well. Worked on an international assignment. So post that about 9 years with Volvo Group. Before I left them, I was heading their electric vehicle program globally, and was based out of Gothenburg in Sweden at their headquarters. What brought me back to India is COVID. Took the last flight along with my family. like entrepreneurship, the other sort of calling to the highest calling of the mankind is private equity and management consulting. So I joined management consulting, basically Accenture Strategy, the management consulting arm of Accenture, as their vice president to sort of build their EV practice in India. So built the EV practice, was a founding member of that. And we were consulting Sonalika, Ola Electric, and so on. So, and Bhavish asked me to join Ola Electric, so I joined Ola Electric as a director of R&D. Spent some time there, building their S1, S1 Pro, the flagship scooters. So that a bit about my journey, and it's not just me, right? So it's always your co-pilot, your entire team. So you can see the kind of team that we have. You can see the kind of team that we have built. So all of these guys are more or less they've been entrepreneurs themselves. They've raised capital. They've built products. They've led large organizations. So today it's been 2 years now into Moonrider, and we are 35 people. We would be growing close to about 120 by the end of this year. So that's the kind of growth we are in. Before I get into the problem solution fit, per se, if you look at our journey, give me a second. Yeah, this is how we sort of started. August of 2023, we sort of built a prototype. We raised an angel round, including the Sharda grant. We went out to some of the the rock star entrepreneurs like Abhishek Goyal of Traction, Kunal Sinha of Glow Roads. So all of them have invested. Ranjit Yadav, who was president of Tata Motors, Ronak Verma, and so on. So we raised 120K. We built the prototype. It's a fully software-defined vehicle, and then post that we raised a $2.1 million led by Advantage Mobility, and Axelor. So these are the two funds which led our seed round. And as we speak, we are closing a $6 million round from some of the India's largest deep tech funds. So it's a 50 crore construct. Due diligence is done almost. Looking forward for the money to hit the account in the next 15 to 20 days. So that's been the journey. Any questions so far before I actually get into the story and sort of look into how we build what we build? Okay.
So we can proceed.
Yeah. Sorry.
We can proceed further. Yeah.
Sure. So our story is like this. So when how it all started is that during my time at Ola, obviously we are a bunch of friends from Bangalore who love filter coffee. So every Saturday we get together there is a coffee shop which is quite famous here. So discuss about ideas, how it can be disruptive, how it can be impactful, and stuff like that. One of our friend was unwell. We happened to pay a visit. His father, who is a progressive farmer, he actually said कि आप लोग सब कुछ electrify कर रहा है, why don't you take a look at electric tractors, right? So that was the eureka moment. Quite frankly, if you look at this, the idea itself sort of came from one of the progressive farmers who were having that sort of day in and day out going through as a pain, right? So that was a eureka moment for us. Quite frankly, we hadn't looked into electric tractors, and that was surprising for us because by then Ravi and I, we had built electric trucks, electric auto rickshaws, two-wheelers, you name it, right? So Ravi was part of BYD as well. So this was kind of like, oh, okay, so there is this opportunity, and we hadn't even looked at, which can change the life of the farmer, right? So however, we had our own apprehension, right? So that's where I would want you to sort of look into. We didn't directly jump into the sort of solutionizing So we had our own apprehensions around rural electricity, the grid. What about fluctuations in the electricity, remotest parts? So these are some of the apprehensions we had, and what we did is we formed a small team. We did sort of dipsticks around different part of the country. Let's say we went to remotest parts like Gujarat, from Odisha, Kutch, which is a border for Rajasthan. We went to Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Indonesia, and so on, and East Africa, which has similar business, agricultural practices. Spoke to about 500 plus farmers and farming community, and sort of that gave us a comfort key. Last 10 years there are a lot of changes that has happened, especially on the Indian side. The rural electricity grid to a large part is sorted. There are energy surplus states, right? So that gave us the comfort to sort of jump into this, and we started our journey. So this is something that one thing that I've learned over the last 15 years is that never fall in love with the product or the solution that you're building, right? So I can give you many case studies, right? So for instance, at Volvo, when we were building, we wanted to build what we call the medium heavy duty products, the trucks for Indian market, right? So Volvo is a very premium brand. And there is an underserved medium heavy duty, sort of application. Like for instance, Bharat Benz or Eicher trucks. If you have seen, it was an underserved market, and then Volvo wanted to get into it. Over a span of 2.5 years, given Volvo has been like a global organization, takes its time to sort of get to the ground. So we developed the product, and we launched it in the market, and the market dumps it, right? So the reason is it was overpriced, it was overfeatured, and the market never wanted it. Now you have a solution, you have a product that you put in your blood and sweat, but at the end of the day, the market is not receiving that. Why? A nicer truck would cost you about 17-18 lakhs, and then you're launching a product at a 35 lakhs, where nobody in the Indian market wants a AC cabin and blah 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 and stuff, right? So it was an over featured, over sort of spec product. And one of the learning that I got along the way is the checkpoint with the market, right? So who you are selling to, if you're not close to them, then I think you miss the ground reality, right? So instantly, when this whole project sort of got sort of done and dusted, Volvo has a joint venture with Eicher, and Eicher sort of bought this assets. The first thing they did is, they invited their customers, 50 to 60 of their top customers who has the potential to buy this kind of tractors, and they said, what you don't want, please list. And the customers gave them the feedback that these are some things that are not needed for me. And the first thing that Eicher did is to strip off those things. And they launched the same product at 19 lakhs, and today they are selling about 5,000 tractors, right? So that's the kind of that's what, if you start from the customer, the chances of success of selling those products or solutions are high. So with that, probably I would sort of walk you through how we sort of looked into this whole problem identification. How did we come up with the solution that we want, and how are we validating so that when we start selling it at scale, we don't have surprises from the market, right? As I mentioned, August of 2023, we built something like a MVP, right? So, and I'll let you know how this whole thing happened. So it all started, actually, we never wanted to, the primary focus was not to build for India. Quite frankly, the primary focus was to build from India, but for the world. We saw that during our dipstick that the right market to start with was East Africa. The reason being, Russia-Ukraine war had put in a lot of stress on the running cost of these tractors, right? The diesel tractors are gas guzzlers, right? So we observed that the oil prices shot up. There was extreme stress on running costs. The margins were thin. The farmers were stressed. So we saw that, okay, this is a great opportunity to make a meaningful impact, right? So, and in our mind, East Africa was the right market. The reason is, if you take Kenya, 75% of the 75% of Kenya is connected to the grid. It's clean energy, and Africa has a lot of irrigatable land, right? And it's quite frankly, if some of you have visited Kenya, or if you want to, I would highly recommend, right? So it's in the stage where we were in 2001 to 2005, where this Infosys moment happened. So that kind of India is what East Africa is, right? So there is hunger everywhere. They want to do something more. There is entrepreneurial energy there, but there is limited resources. So we saw a lot of these kind of opportunities. And as a market, we identified, yes, I think East Africa primarily is our sort of market. And there we wanted to sort of look into like, do we have someone like a Uber for tractors, right? So do we have fleet owners? So that's where the quest started, because we never started with, we have a product and we will identify the customers. So we started with the customers. So we found a Uber for tractor sort of a company, which is called Hello Tractors in Kenya, in East Africa mainly. And when we went and met them, it was bang on, right? So we learned three things from them. A large part of their fleet was a 75 horsepower tractor, diesel. They had around 6,500 tractors under management. And they said the same thing. Russia-Ukraine war, because of that, our running cost has gone up, and, electric would be fantastic. So then what we did is that, this is fine, but we want to talk to your end farmers, right? So we went and spoke to the end farmers, basically what we call the mom test in the startup world, right? So basically interviewing these customers as to what exactly is their apprehensions. So when we spoke to those farmers, there were three things that broadly came up. One was, total cost of ownership, running cost, all of this is fine. Wo to theek hai. What about the upfront cost, right? So which means that, let's say, if you go buy a Ather, that will cost you 1.6 lakhs. Whereas if you buy a Honda Activa, that would cost you about 85,000, right? So there is a gap in the upfront cost. And similarly, along the value chain, if you look at buses versus, diesel buses versus electric bus, it's like 40 lakhs versus 1.8 crores. So there is this delta. And what we got from the farmers as a key insight was that TCO is fine. I don't want to end up paying 2x, 3x of upfront cost in the quest of recovering it over a 5-6 year period. So this was one of the biggest barrier for entry, right? So that was a core problem. And then the two more problems that constantly emerged was that, what about the range? Isme taakat hai kya? And what about the range and performance? Can it perform like a diesel tractor? How long does it last? Can I charge it quickly? So these were some of the apprehensions. We sort of narrowed it down, and we came back and sort of started to address those pain points. And how we do it is basically, at every stage of the product development process, we have this habit of inviting about 20 to 25 farmers and farming community to our development center. Every month we run the feedback loop with them before we sort of put it out on the product. So that has been the journey for the last 1.5 years. And today, because of that, what we have done is that we were the first one to cross international waters. So we deployed a tractor in Nairobi, and as we speak, we're running this customer trials there. And despite asking those questions, we still weren't like 100% solving for it, right? So while you're doing customer trials, you actually understand the behavior of the farmers or the customers, only to realize, yes, I think this could be a challenge, so we'll have to solve. So all of those sort of steps we have taken, and so we started off as Africa only thesis with 75 horsepower. But since we sort of got a hold of it from a product market fit standpoint, because we saw that the tractor rentals is going to go crazy, and we don't want to sort of invest capital across the value chain. Every penny that we are spending has to go to the product, so which means we don't have money to sort of spend it on creating a brand or distribution at this point in time. So we are trying to replicate the insights and success that we got from Hello Tractor now to India. So now we have three products, which is our portfolio. So basically, what we have done, we we have three products, which is our
So in a meanwhile, Anoop is joining back. In case you guys have any questions, it's better to write it on chat box. Okay, so that he can address it one by one. Right. Guys, you have any questions regarding your startup or your way of journey, you can definitely ask him. Better is to write down in the chat box, and we really appreciate if each of you can ask so that you can later on develop. Is it
right.
Anup? Yeah, you're there. Okay.
Yeah, so I was there. I think there was some disturbance, so
Okay.
and we got muted. So okay, so first identify the customer and what exactly the problems and pain points that they are going through, and before you sort of scale up, make sure that you have at least um, 7 on 10 of those major pieces of the puzzle to come in place, right? So that's exactly what we did with Africa, and quite frankly, we wanted to stick to Africa. We for some more time, but there is a lot of inbound interest, and India being the largest tractor market, we are actually sort of replicating and expediting, the India GTM. But the thesis remains the same. We're not only opening up dealerships, we're solving for the tractor rentals, upfront cost, range, and charge time. We are ensuring that it's on par with the, let's say, diesel tractors, so to say, in some sense. And that is what is the shorter right to win that we have.
So one question I have, Anup. So in case you are written like, just say in Kenya it's backed by Hello Tractor, and in Rajasthan it's backed by someone called Light Rock. So what do you mean by backed by? I mean they are like.
So, so yeah, Anurag, actually, these are our customers. Hello Tractor is our customers. EM3 is our customer. Samunnati is our customer. So the credibility of these customers is that John Deere is an investor on Hello Tractor. Lightrock is an investor on EM3, and Axel is an investor on Samunnati. So that's the kind of partnerships that we have built.
So basically, they have purchased these products from you
Exactly. So
with their
they're
own branding.
Exactly. So they will purchase our products on capex and they will deploy it on rent. So that's the in which we are operating.
Oh, great, great. Okay. So you have different players in different region.
Exactly. So one of the main challenge with tractor rentals is it's not at least in India. Pre-COVID, there were some attempts, but there's no national player for like a Uber for tractor. So right
Hmm.
now, Rajasthan EM3 has a very strong presence, and
Okay.
quite frankly, we are also like for the next 24 to 30 months, you can only prioritize a few. Already, we have a lot on our plate. Quite frankly, we should even further ruthlessly prioritize. But uh, we want to make sure that our capital is, sort of the capital allocation is optimized. So we want to do that controlled trials. Otherwise, let's say over the next 12 months, we will still have a lot of engineering issues and so on, right? So it's not just about selling tractors, but it's also servicing them, ensuring that the uptime of those tractors are taken care of. So that's why we have made these partnerships, and these will be controlled trials going forward and controlled deployments.
That's, I think, is a very important point actually, because I remember I've given you that branding reel of one of the celebrity, and you said, strangely, I mean, good to have. You said that I am currently focusing on my product development, right? And that's a really good point actually, because generally at the beginning, the startups thinks of everything. They thinks of marketing. They thinks of doing the selling, product development at the same stage. But I think we should prioritize. So Anoop, do you have any thought on this, like how to prioritize, what things should we prioritize and what should we not?
That's a great question. So, you know, if you look at I think that's a great question also. If you take a step back and look at businesses, right? So some of the so broadly, you can categorize it as are you creating a brand? Like, for example, is it an FMCG brand? Let's say you're selling, you're going to sell some premium product to a niche set of customers, right? So now, in that case, what you need to prioritize is out of the 10 sort of rupee that you spend, 9 goes towards branding and marketing. So to make those products look pretty, right? So
Hmm.
that's so the objective of the brand is to be appealing and some aspirational value associated with it. So every spend that you have is towards the brand. Now, if you look at an organization like us, which is more a deep tech, right? So, for example, ours is not a. I mean, nobody looks at a ad and buy a tractor, right? So it's more a functional brand. It's like Asian Paints, right? So painter आके आपको बोलेगा कि सर Asian Paints is better than Berger. Why don't we go with Asian Paint? And you know the painter and you trust him, right? So that's the kind of functional product. So if you look at tractors, are a functional product. So quite frankly, if we have to invest over a period of time, it would be to create a functional brand, right? So at this stage, we felt that nine of the 10 rupees that we spend will be towards the product and creating something unique. Which is more IP driven, right? So that is the sort of approach that we do. Um, and lastly, there are distribution led businesses. So if yours is a distribution led businesses, then I think every penny that goes into is to create those distributions. So if you start like that, I think the prioritization becomes much more easier.
True. Nicely said. All right. One more question is there from in the chat box. Some of the startups are asking. So we have a okay. Rajat is asking, what is the biggest challenge you faced while catering your initial customers?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a that's a great question. See, um, it's really funny. Like India is it's picking up in terms of EV as an ecosystem, right? So a lot of us probably at least either we have a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler which is electric, or one of our friends or one of our someone in our network has it, right? So we have come to that stage. But 2 years back, when we talked about EV, everyone was towards two wheelers, right? So it was only Ather and Ola, and everything was under 60-volt architecture. Virtually nothing existed in terms of like connectors, components. So you have to actually build it yourself, right? So we build our differentiated battery pack. We patented it. The patented the cooling mechanism of it. We are like a high voltage architecture, right? So all of our equipment has to. So when you are investing on a piece of equipment, you want it to run 24 bar 7, right? So whether it is required or not, you want it to run 24 bar 7, and it's not possible in the EV. And the only way to do that is you fast charge those vehicle. For you to do the fast charging, everything was dependent on China back then. And we operated with a philosophy that ABC, anything but China, right? So we had to build it ourselves. And quite frankly, that is helping us now. So, for example, we are earth-free motors, so we don't have to depend on magnets out of China. So initially, these were a lot of challenges, and put together a product when this ecosystem doesn't exist. Um Personally, it takes a lot toll on you and your team as well, right? So am I going in the right direction? I mean, why tractors? Why can't we build scooters, right? So these are the kind of, but you sort of push through, and when we deployed the tractors in Kenya, we didn't realize that, despite I lived in Sweden, I should have known this. The kind of socket and the voltage that we use in India is very different from Africa. So you have to adapt it to that to get it up and running. Custom clearance, a lot of these challenges. So there was no what we call this HSN code, right? So whenever you import and export components and products, you have a code, and you need to export it through that. When we first dispatched a vehicle, it was stuck in customs in Kenya for 3.5 months because they, in their world, there is no electric tractors and they haven't created that code, right? So all these kind of challenges we faced in the initial set of deployments.
Oh, nice. So, one more question from my side. Like, while making this as a hardware product, okay, have you thought about, why not first make a, some software product and then come to a hardware product with that funding or something like that? Because this is the question by a lot of initial stage startups that are asking. So, what's your opinion on that?
You're right. I think there is no one sort of approach to this. We started with a specific intent to build an electric tractor.
Okay.
That's the problem we sort of faced, and we wanted to solve for it. We, quite frankly, have never thought about building something else which could, uh, you know, which could be funding the next step, right? So that's one way to do, but fortunately or unfortunately, we took the other approach, which is more like, okay, we heard this problem, we want to solve for it, and we went out looking for capital, right? So and that's the way we sort of approached.
So rightly said, actually. So that's the right mindset. Once you have to start with a problem, the problem can be as big as possible. But if you have taken that problem to solve it, then start solving it from the core itself, as
Yeah.
what Anoop is saying, rather than thinking about funding or thinking about can we make it a small, can we make it separately like that, you know? Okay.
Precisely, Anurag. I think it's also like, you can't. I mean, you can only do so much as a human being. Like, for example, the first problem is to, okay, let's quit our jobs and sort of start this. The next one is, okay, can we find a customer? So once you have a customer, you build an MVP and sort of test it. Once you build an MVP, you try looking for funding. So if you organize your problems in that way, you can't solve for 5 years from now. I want to go to IPO, and those problems I will solve today, right? So I think as and when the problems arises, you will start prioritizing that and solve for it. And I think that is the right way to sort of move forward. Otherwise, you will be in that loop where should I take a step or not, sort of a thing.
Confusions will
Yeah.
start. True, very true. Few questions, Anoop, in the group. Just I'm reading out few. Okay. So, how you have taken these customers' queries in a positive way? Is there anything that you want to say?
So, so these are brutal, right? So some of those customers, when I was in Ola, the first day when I joined, I still remember, there were two of those scooters that blew up, and and when one of the gentlemen was accelerating, the vehicle was going back at 80 kilometers or something like that, right? So
Oh my. Uh,
so some of the feedback can be brutal for you, like it just rattles you.
yeah.
um, I think over a period of time, I think it's also, I'm 37, so I've been stomaching all these kind of things. Yeah, I don't have a framework, but what I can tell you is, take it at a pinch of salt. As long as you're not harming anyone, or somebody's getting hurt, every solution, every feedback, I mean, every problem in some sense helps you. So I think it helps you go deeper in terms of understanding what the challenges are, and solve for it. So I think that's the way I probably look at it. And as an entrepreneur, I think feedbacks and critics and customer brutal reviews. So I think the best way to approach this is to stomach it for now, right? So absorb it.
Rightly said. Okay. One question is from Nitish. He's saying EV sectors highly rely on China, and China has stopped the export of rare earth material which is used in EV. So, isn't killing the Indian EV sector? Mahindra and Bajaj has cutted its EV production by 25% in its first year due to barrier in relationship between India and China. So, is it a temporary problem, or India is going to be big in this area? What's your, feedback? It's a very generalist question, Nitish, by the way, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
So I think my response to this is, on a short term, yes, it's an issue. But my own experience of being in China for, I've been there a couple of times. You know, they are way ahead, right? So, especially when it comes to deep tech, when it comes to EV, when it comes to artificial intelligence, they're way, way, way ahead. Like, at least 20, 25 years ahead of India, right? So, if any one of us thinking that we are competing to China, we are not. I think that's just a perception. Now, given this as a sort of macro factor, how can you build something that differentiates, and how can you build something that is more self-reliant, right? So that's something. Now, if you look at Mahindras and Bajaj, the dhanda of OEMs, as we call it, is selling vehicles. They assemble the parts, they sell it to the customers, and they make a margin out of it, right? Now, that that is the biggest challenge. So there is little spend on the R&D, and every spend is towards building the cosmetics of it and not the functionality of it, right? So there are organizations that are already going deeper. Like for example, Tata Motors have taken several steps to sort of build it from India. Tata Auto Components is doing a great job. If you look at us, one of the way we are de-risking the supply chain issues is to be rare earth free, right? So there are alternatives. So like I said, all our motors are rare earth free magnet motors. The only thing right now we are dependent on China is cells, which also from next year Exide is going to do the cells. So we will have the cells from Exide or Ola and so on, right? So we're de-risking it, but completely you can never reduce your dependency to 100% from China, right? So you will always be, I mean, not only India but everyone, and that so there is a bit of a risk, but it's also like if you want to do everything, it costs you more. You don't have that volume advantage which China has. So it's always a matter of priority as to what I can prioritize with the capital I have for now.
Okay, understood. So there are a few students also in this journey of making their startup. They wanted to. I mean, I have seen 2 to 3 students asking almost similar questions. So I'm summing up. Basically, they wanted to understand. Let's suppose they are just studying these technologies, and they wanted to make something in agri-tech, or they wanted to do something in defense surveillance things and all, but they don't have access to such kind of problem statement, first of all, and secondly the hardware supplies and things like that. So what's your suggestion to them? Where should they start, and which direction they should go?
Hmm. That's a great question. So agri-tech and defense are two different animals, right? So if we take agri-tech as a sort of for the moment, if we look into agri-tech, how would you build? Is much more, I would say, much more, I would say, it's not easy, but at least you have some reference. So all you need to do is to speak to those what we call farmer producer organizations, right? The FPOs. That's what we did. So go to the FPOs. The future of the agri-tech is in FPOs. So speak to farmer producer organizations, look at what are the challenges that we have. Ultimately, for an agri-tech, you have the input and the output. That's all, right? So either you're solving for the input side of the agri or output side of the agri. So what are you solving for? And identifying those problems, you will be able to do it only when you speak to those FPOs, right? So there are lighthouse FPOs, which means that they do about 300 crore business a year. Like if you go to Sahyadri Farms in Nasik, they do about 700, 800 crores business. They've cracked into grape farming and they export grapes. So if you solve for them, so you can actually replicate like that. Like for example, how can you optimize their workflows? Can you build an agentic AI for that? Can they use that? And how will they improve those productivity and profitability of those FPOs? So you can ultimately the ambition of these agri-techs should become an agri-business and not just stay agri-tech, right? So there is no in healthcare and in agriculture, tech is predominantly, I mean, essentially, if you're building a marketplace for it, it doesn't survive, right? So you have to go further deep into it, and the kind of target audience that you have there is completely different. So ultimately, if you're building something which would become a huge agri business, and I think with tech as an enabler, and I think that's the way to look at it for agri. And you need to speak to FPOs to validate your problem statements and so on. Now for the defense is a far more harder problem to crack, right? So the problem statements are quite broad. The funding is quite, the capital is available. Now the thing is, how can you sort of be part of that ecosystem? And I think you are heavily dependent on the federal government, right? So the central government is an umbrella for everything. So I think building for defense is something that first is to sort of start with the defense ministry itself, is to look into what are the armed forces going through, what are the challenges that they are going through. And my request to all the entrepreneurs, right? So don't waste time where there is no capital. Honestly, a lot of the brightest minds are being stuck because there's no capital. End of the day, it is an oxygen for you to sort of bring your product live. And if you don't have capital in that area, and if no one is investing, I'm not saying VCs, it could be any form of investment, right? I think you shouldn't do it. It's just a waste of time. Even though the problem statement has more meaningful impact, without capital, you will never be able to move a needle. So have that in mind. So yeah, unfortunately, defense is a hard subject to crack, but I know a few of those companies like Tonbo, all of them, they've done a great work. But fortunately or unfortunately, you are connected with the defense ministry, and that has its positives and negatives.
True, rightly said. Again, because students coming to this point want to do something, they should first, yeah, as rightly said by Anoop, should be connected with the right organizations and ministries to actually see where the support system is there. And secondly, they should be heavily dependent on the technology. If you are not very high on some technology innovation, then making a product innovation will cost you a lot, and you starting something will be very difficult ultimately. Technology has very low entry barrier for starting up. You can start something making, you can start making something in that area. For that, I think there are different website. IDEX is a platform where you can go and check defense based problems and solve them technically, and be a part of their hackathons, and you can win a lot of grant money from there itself. So that's a good way to start for entrepreneurs working in those areas. Thank you so much, Anoop, showing us such a good perspective towards startup building. Really helpful. And yeah, it's a different mindset. When we speak with founders like you, we always get a different insight. Like what went through, what actually is coming up. Nice to have you again. And someone is asking some question now. Okay, we will take one question. Uh, Small discount turn into okay, so he wanted to ask, your story is totally inspiring. Why don't you speak up? Manthan Makhija. If you want, you can directly speak up and ask your question, please. You there?
Yeah, actually, Moonrider did participated in Startup Mahakumbh, and probably Manthan, you have met Mr. Anoop there at Startup Mahakumbh for sure. And we see this is kind of a first of its technology shop. Yeah, what's
That's
your
okay. He's
question
saying some
actually?
class. He's in class, so he wanted to ask. Okay, I'll read out your question. No
Okay.
problem. So he's saying your story is truly inspiring, but I don't have much knowledge in this field. But what you are building is amazing. He saw the same thing in Startup Mahakumbh. He wanted to ask, how did you take small discussion and turn them into an MVP and eventually a company? How did you network, grow step by step? Actually, I really wanted to speak, but okay, class is going on. Okay. So, broad question.
Oh,
Yeah, these things have been covered actually
I
in the real.
appreciate your engagement sitting in the class and listening. So even though
No
that's not
problem.
possible.
I'll answer it. So how it happens is, guys, this video will be recorded on YouTube with the permission from Anoop ji, and you can, Anoop, we can put this on YouTube. Is it
Yeah,
okay?
please, please.
Okay. So we are putting this into our YouTube channel. It's with the name of Sharda Launchpad. Manthan, kindly go there and see the whole lecture. He shared such a valuable insight So basically, you are asking the summary. Better you go and see the whole session itself. All right. Over to you, Junaid.
Any more questions from any other participants? So should we close? Any questions?
So at this point, you guys can open up your speaker mic, and you can speak directly to Anoop also. Right? It's now open for 2 minutes. So then we'll end the call.
I think Rajat is trying to speak, but we don't hear him.
Acha, is it? Okay. Rajat, your mic is not working, I guess. Anyone else? If you guys have any question, you can directly related to your startup or something like that. Please open up your mic and speak directly. We have very limited time.
Yeah, good afternoon,
Jai
sir.
Varma.
Yes. Sir, the defense question was from me. Like, I am working on a surveillance drone. Like, I found a loophole. Like, if someone is wearing a mask or cap, the normal drone surveillance can't detect that person. Like, if I am going somewhere and the surveillance is going on, so they can't find that Jay Verma is there. So the technology will unmask the face using AI. Like, I will store my database or someone, and if like I am wearing a cap or mask, that AI will reconstruct my face. Okay. So you said that capitalization is a must. Okay. So I found yesterday I was scrolling the LinkedIn, and I found that Bits Pilani students made a drone, okay, kamikaze drone, and they directly get the funding from the defense, like they got the order and like that. So first thing, that the capitalization is a must, you said. And the second question is, like, how can like there are many companies working on the surveillance drones, okay? So how can I get the specs? Like, they don't disclose the specs or something. So how can I make the drone better than them?
Sure.
This is the main problem.
Sure. So, Jay, I think that's a great question. So, the first things first, I think what you're doing is amazing. Yeah, I think it's something that maybe we can connect offline as well. We'll see how we can support each other. As far as getting the funding from the defense ministry, that is one aspect of it, right? But there are venture capital firms which invest on defense tech, right? So you will have to identify what are those top 10, 20 venture capital firms that invest on defense tech or deep tech, so to say, right? And you start pitching them and you start refining your pitch, and at some point in time you'll get the funding, right? So that's one part when it comes to the funding side of it, or the capital for that. The second part, which is also like, for example, yeah, if you're building a startup, and if it can be, so how I look at it is, if you're building a startup and if your solution is easily replicatable, the moment you share it with someone, then I think it's something that you and I have to think about it, right? So the whole idea of investing on you is to make sure that you have something differentiated which can't be easily replicatable. Because of it, either you build a market share, or you build a monopoly, or you build your margins. So if you share your ideas to someone and if they can easily replicate it, so then I think that is where something we have to think deeper, right? So my suggestion is that look at what is your technical mode per se. Let's say, for instance, what is that which is material in nature which you don't want to share, right? And if you look at it that way, less than 20% of it is the material that you need to protect. The rest of the 80% should be made visible for people to understand. If they don't understand it, they won't be able to invest on it, right? So how can they take the bet if they don't invest, if they don't understand it, right? So it's usually one or two areas which need not have to be shared. Except that I think you should be open to share it with everyone, and ensure that it's like If it is my take on this is if it is easily replicatable, anybody can do it, right? So that's not where you want to get in.
Yes, sir. Designs are already there in the market, but the tech I am introducing, that unmasking one, is
Yeah,
the that 20% you told.
yeah. Yeah, उसमें भी like how you are identifying or how you are sort of analyzing or how it is recreating without the mask. Probably that's where the IP sits, right? So the mechanism to use the mechanism and the approach that you take, you don't need to reveal, but rest of everything can be in some sense shared and ensure that it cannot be reverse engineered, right? So build it that way.
Thank you, sir.
Uh,
Any more questions from anyone?
um,
Rajat,
yes, yes. Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Hi, Anoop. Uh, Actually, we are working on providing practical education in schools and colleges. Currently, we are starting from financial education. So we make practical tools, like we use gamified elements like physical games, interactive books to infuse financial knowledge, financial education, so that they can get hands-on experience. But as we research, we are working on it for around 1 to 2 years full time, and we want to infuse practicality in our education system. Like we feel education is more theoretical in India than practical. So we are trying to introduce practical solutions like gamified elements, interactive books, and workshops, hands-on workshops, so they can understand what they will do in real life. Currently, we are starting from financial education. So my suggestion, I want to know I want to get your suggestions about. Uh, we are facing some challenges to uh, pitch to schools or educational institutions because of different challenges in metro cities like Gurgaon. It is challenging because schools don't मतलब वो आपको cater नहीं करते ठीक से. So I was asking, what should be the approach to break in the market? What should be like our go-to market strategy according to you?
That's a very interesting question, Rajat. So first of all, hats off to what you guys are building. It's not easy. See, how I would approach probably is that if you look at schools, when I look at schools, it's predominantly fifth grade to sort of 12th grade, right? So that's your audience. I mean,
Yes, correct,
below
correct.
fifth grade, it doesn't make sense. So now, when we say schools, so it's kind of everything sort of falls into it, right? So you have the government schools, you have the private schools, you have the prestigious, I would say, elite schools with IB educations and all of that, right? Now, the people whom you're probably, that's my view, people who are going to pay you are the ones who are those elite schools, right? So you can charge a premium there. You know they have the cushion to sort of inbuilt your curriculum within their broader sort of a syllabus, or so to say, right? So they can charge a premium and then you get paid as well. Now the next category is those sort of DPS types, right? So these are the guys where it's more like a freemium model, right? So you need to educate them. They will give you the space and opportunity to sort of educate them, but not a lot of them would pay for it, right? So and then the government schools. So the government school is more about creating that impact. It's more hygiene, right? So my suggestion is now, if you're catering to this, probably I start with I'll identify this is the cohort, probably 7th to 10th grade or whatever it is, and then go about like where I can build my audience is largely in these government and private schools, but who essentially would pay me is those elite institutions, right? So then that becomes your prioritization key. Am I optimizing for monetization, or am I optimizing for sort of adoption and engagement? If you're optimizing for adoption and engagement, then government schools and private schools, mid-tier private schools are your options, and then you can probably monetize it better later, right? Or if you're looking at it more like a premium product, and then my suggestion is to sort of go directly towards these, elite institutions and start.
Private.
Yeah. So the expectation would be also higher when you start going for these elite institutions. They would want to make meaningful. They want to see the meaningful outcome out of it. So that would be probably my approach.
Thank you. By the way, your tractors designs look very futuristic. I like those designs.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So over to you, Junaid. Junaid, you there on the call? I think he's facing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. एक्चुअली सर कुछ अदर एंगेजमेंट्स भी चल रही है ऑफिस में, तो कंटिन्यूसली जो है कॉल्स आते जा रहे हैं, तो इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू देम एज वेल. तो thank you, Mr. Anoop, sir, for patiently and clearly answering all the questions of our participants. On behalf of the Sharda Launchpad, ESCITBI, and the IgNIS 2.0 team, I extend our deepest gratitude to you, sir, for delivering a high impactful session, sharing the case studies and your journey of the startup. Our leadership, led by Dr. Amit Saigal, Mr. Anurag Pandey, and Mr. Pankaj Jain, for the ongoing mentorship support, and to all important the participants for your energy and today's actively interaction and commitment. Most importantly, so before we wrap up, some announcements for the participants I'll be having attendance.
Thank you so much, Anoop, sir. Before we do the announcement, I think Anoop has to go. So, Anoop, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So participants, attendance, we have been consistently pushing for that attendance is mandatory for in this program to be continued to be the participants of this program. Only two consecutive unexcused absence may lead to the removal from the program. We have been consistently briefing you about. And today we also see that despite having more than 40 members in the groups, and we get the participation only 20 are serious in taking. So we'll be starting to remove the non-serious candidates from tomorrow onwards. And for the Sharda University students, attendance also, you have to share the course name and system ID. Some of you have shared it with me. Others who want to avail the benefits of academic benefits, attendance benefits, kindly share their information, name, department name, course name, and system ID with us. And one more thing, we have shared one-on-one mentoring slots with some startups. We are having 20 minutes one-on-one engagement weekly based with all of the participants of the IgNIS 2.0. These sessions are ideal for discussing your startup progress, addressing challenges, and receiving tailored guidance. So for Sharda University students who want to have their doubts cleared and some interaction with us, they can visit us in person. Our office is at block 45, third floor, during the working hours. So we'll be assisting you. So once again, thank you all for being the part of today's session. And those who have not submitted the assignment 1, please, we are keeping it mandatory, and we're keeping it in a notice that I have marked every attendance and every submission, whosoever is there. So it will be taken as that you are not interested, and it will sometimes result in a removal from the program as well. So take it as
Yeah.
on a serious note and submit your assignments timely and be punctual for the attendance, whatever is required, so that you will be eligible for what important is for us is the demo day and the pitch day. By the end of this course, you getting the opportunity to pitch your ideas for availing the funding opportunities through grant and the private funding, right? So wishing you all the best. So see you at the
Before
next.
concluding, even I want to add something, guys. Those who during the interaction and the speaker session, if you open your video, if you chat with speaker, then there will be high possibility that you will get direct mentors or a direct funding access, because Anoop already you have seen $6 million above his company is raising right now. He's looking for people whom he can share his problem statement and can help. So it's not just about participation. This is not a classroom session at all. If you guys are treating this as a classroom session, definitely you will not able to make your own startup. We will not lose anything. You will lose many things. Okay. At the end of Sharda Launchpad, we are delivering. We are connecting you with people. We are delivering sessions to you. We are making assessment, checking assessments. Things are pretty much structured from our side. If things will not go structured from your end, this will create a problem later on. So my suggestion is simply, guys, give at least 1 hour every day to your business, specifically focused, no distraction, nothing else. Just focus on your business pitch deck, focus on people strategies making, and then after 1 hour you can start approaching that execution. Maybe you can go to social media, you can call people, make your pitch deck like that, right? So at least 2 hours you should give daily during this program to make it high success. Because during this program, if you ask any recommendation, wants to connect with us, you will be given a chance. But after the session, this all things will be given on a cost basis. We are expensive, but this time you are getting it uh, and access to it. So kindly utilize it properly. That's I think what Junaid wants to say also. Take your sessions, take your assignment very very seriously. From tomorrow onwards, all inactive participants will be removed from this group apart from they have paid. So thank you so much. Please keep this thing in mind and all the best.
Thank you, Anurag.